Hey, this is Augie, Augie's Locker Room. When you come to the store, you're going to see things that you've probably never seen before unless you've been to a museum. Great items that go back to the Rockney era to the present. Website, augieslockerroom.com. Visit us here or the website.
For the 94th time, it's Notre Dame Navy here in Notre Dame Stadium. Tim, it's not the typical Navy team, not running it as well as they normally do. We know what they do throwing the football. Defensively, still pretty good, but Notre Dame a significant advantage going into this game today.
Yeah, I feel like it's usually about Notre Dame. Notre Dame has destroyed Navy's best team. They've destroyed Navy's worst team, but Navy's had teams, middling teams, come in and test Notre Dame when they've had good or bad. It's just how Notre Dame plays, how their athletes get away from Navy's athletes. Because if Lorenzo Styles and Kevin Austin and Kyron Williams are playing well and not making mistakes, it's really hard for Navy to keep up. But if they're not, then as the game goes longer and longer and longer how frustrating it gets. We've seen enough of those. Yeah. Actually, half of Brian Telly's 10 have been close.
We know how tricky the triple option is, but this is not a Navy team that has been able to be real productive in the running game. They're bad. Yeah. They're downright bad in the red zone. And on third down. Well, now we know they'll go for it on fourth down. I think, the tricky thing here is, and I think I mentioned earlier in the week, we have not seen a Marcus Freeman coached Notre Dame defense against triple option offense. He struggled in his first year as a coordinator when he was at Cincinnati against Navy, but then the second time through the following year, they shut Navy out. How do you think it's going to roll for Marcus Freeman's defense today?
I wouldn't expect to struggle because of those first two matchups. He probably has a large inventory of what went right and what went wrong, and obviously his second matchup with them was dominant, and he's got Mike Elston to lean on. If there's any question of what Navy's going to do, I think what it comes down to is what will Navy do to attack that's different, and then how they adjust to that. There's a reason Navy almost always has a touchdown early in the game. It's just they come up with something that Brian Kelly hasn't seen. He talks about it. He was exasperated about it. They find a way to tweak some blocking scheme. But I really think that at some point Notre Dame will settle in. As you mentioned, it's not a great Navy offense, so unless you're having unfortunate busts on the back end, I just think Notre Dame's front seven seems tailor-made to eventually stop Navy in this game.
Notre Dame's defense in the red zone is tied for 7th in the country, and Navy is atypically poor in the red zone, so that'll be an interesting matchup. We've been talking about the last couple weeks, up-tempo. The thing is, though, that Navy does not put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, so I think if Notre Dame wants to let the route stretch itself out a little bit, they can do that today, too.
This might be the one time we're going to agree completely on that, is they can go back to having, the 1-2-3 jack throw is great, but you're right. They might be able to get Lorenzo Styles downfield, Kevin Austin as well, if Michael Mayer's healthy. I think when Michael Mayer is fully healthy, it might not be until the bowl game when he can rest that this offense can go to yet another level, but they just have – it's one of those things where if they can get Navy out of their comfort zone defensively and they realize, all right, we can't do exactly what we want to do, then this can really get away from Navy. And Jarrett Patterson put it best. He said they do a lot of games and slants up front, and those can confuse you. But when you block it correctly, there are huge holes in the running game. And if there's a huge hole for Kyron Williams or Logan Diggs, it could be a long day.
I think there's going to be room for Notre Dame's offense to maneuver. Now, special teams-wise, Notre Dame has an advantage there. I think both teams have good kickers, but Navy has given up 2 touchdowns on kick returns and a punt return. I think they might be the only team in the country. There's only a couple that have actually given up touchdowns in both.
And you want to talk about a disadvantage you can't have if you're Navy coming to Notre Dame. And, I kind of joked on the podcast, they've come to the right place. But with Kyron Williams back there, he can break one. I don't know if Chris Tyree is healthy enough to do it, but Lorenzo Styles is. If Notre Dame scores on special teams, we keep talking about how they can get away. That would be a huge problem for Navy. But it's the only game of the year where you say, Notre Dame could win 30-17. You're like, yeah, Notre Dame could win 42-7. Yeah, it's a strange thing when you play this triple option.
Is there a harder game to predict score-wise than Navy Notre Dame? It's very difficult, so don't hold us accountable for our predictions today. But we do think that Notre Dame will come out on top today as Notre Dame and Navy play here in Notre Dame Stadium for the 94th time.